This is Terry Kurtz On-Line reporting on Victor Valley, High Desert, and Mojave River Valley events, activities, entertainment, sports, and history. Competition in SkillsUSA underway this day at Granite Hills High School in Apple Valley. High school and now middle school teams compete. Winners in this regional leadership event advance to the state SkillsUSA competition.
We've got 46 different schools represented here today for about 300 students. They're competing in things like job interview and promotional bulletin board, chapter display, lots of different contests that are showing off their leadership skills that they've been working on all throughout their high school careers.
Well, we have to promote SkillsUSA in general. We have to provide occupational information, as in universities you could apply to that you can use SkillsUSA skills in a way.
It involves just a lot of hard work, and we're actually competing a chapter display. So we have to display how our chapter is helping us be successful in the workforce.
In the presentation, I more sit off to the side, but during working on the project, I'm more hands-on. So that's why we are all good together, because we all do our different parts.
What do you enjoy most about the SkillsUSA competition?
Just the fun that it brings and the teamwork, because me and my team have become close because of it.
Teams of 5 go head-to-head in the highly spirited Quiz Bowl.
Well, there's several questions that they ask, and kind of like Jeopardy.
Quiz Bowl is a mix of questions. There's no really way to prepare for it. It's just like a mix of everything.
What kind of questions are they?
Combination is current events, the SkillsUSA handbook. There's a lot of medical questions and a little bit of math, history.
SkillsUSA standards, social studies, politics, science, math, but they're rather simple questions.
Name the capital city of Cuba. Name Havana. Correct.
Apple Valley Unified School District high schools have been very successful in SkillsUSA competition.
Apple Valley High School does a fantastic job every year in SkillsUSA at the regional, state, and national level. We have many students that advance from a regional level that we're at today to the state level to represent their school and their district as the top in their area. There are 6 regions in California. They compete at the state level, and if they win there, they get to move on to the national level where they represent the entire state of California to the nation, which is a fantastic honor. Every year, Apple Valley High School has around 10 students or so that get that honor to go represent at that level. Last year, we had students in webpage design and digital cinema and promotional bulletin board going to represent all of California, and they did very well. Digital cinema and webpage design both got 6th in the nation.
What's the secret? Why is Apple Valley High School so successful in SkillsUSA competition?
I have to say it's definitely because of the comprehensive nature of our school. So we have a vast offering of career technical education courses. The things that students are able to find and love at our school is so many more than you tend to see at schools nowadays. We do more than just the academic curriculum. We have the honors programs, we have all those. We also have auto shop and welding and culinary arts and a vast computer program. So with all of those offerings, a student can find a place that they want to be in, that they can connect to, and use that to succeed and find something they're passionate about, and we show that in our competitions and how well we do.
Terry Kurtz On-Line was brought to you by Down Home Grill in Victorville on the corner of Bear Valley Road and Ridgecrest Road. Bid fast and last, sold on supporting High Desert sports. Midway Home Solutions in Victorville. Deagle and Don always has discount prices on appliances, mattresses, home furnishings, and electronics. Valu Quality Truck Body. Family owned and operated since 1954. The Bradco Companies, our area's longest standing full-service commercial brokerage firm. Ewanzak Law Firm, trial lawyers for serious problems. And by the Community Table Restaurant in the Holiday Inn in Victorville. The Holiday Inn, favored destination for travelers and visitors to the Victor Valley. Terry Kurtz here, throwing out an invitation for you to catch up with High Desert Sports activities. Your High Desert Sports Report, showing 3 times every day on Victor Valley TV. 7 and 11 every morning, 4 every afternoon.
What time is it, sports fans? It's time for your High Desert
Your half-hour High Desert Sports Report, the area's only video action highlights coverage of high school athletes, teams, and sports programs, Victor Valley College Rams, and Barstow College Vikings athletic events. We hope you'll join us right here on Victor Valley TV. Ever in search of good news to report, Joseph W. Brady updates Spring Valley Lake developments.
I think on the good news front, the Spring Valley Lake Association just completed their election this past Saturday or a week ago. Mr. Ponce and Mrs. Romero were incumbents and they got reelected. Brad Lettner, who had been on the board before but had to leave because of work issues, got elected. So I think that it shows, after you look at the November 3rd election with the CSD, and you look at this election, people really do have their minds, and we're a little divided. Last week, the association held its first open forum. They had, I believe, 58 people because they had socially distanced at the community center. And Brian Bickert led it with Brian Hurst and Al Logan and Bill Scott. Joanne Romero spoke. Robert Reed did not speak, but I got to say one thing. Robert retired last Saturday, so he's no longer on the board. And I was really pleased, and I really hope that people remember this, that it was Robert that came to the board about 6 months ago with the idea that said, if you're going to buy the country club, and we have this debt for the water that we bought, because we had a bunch of water we had to buy a couple of years ago. And to get that water vote, that took 66% of the homeowners in order to do it. So that got through. So we know we can get the vote for the golf course if the business plan is correct and delineates what I think everybody needs to know. So Robert came with this idea about 6 months ago, and he called me. He said, what do you think if we package a loan? We can get a loan at a lot better interest rate than we did before. We can get a bigger bang for our buck. We can improve the park, the community center park. We can put some money in the lake. We can pay off the water debt, we can buy the country club, we can pay for the improvements, and we can do it under one loan that really doesn't cost us anymore. Thought, wow, that's, okay, Robert, so how did you do that? So Robert reached out to Brian Bickert, the president, and Brian has found a company that's willing to lend at, I believe, 4.5% with, I think, one point, where the payment is not going to choke us and will be palatable, and we're going to be able to reduce the debt on the water and take care of a whole bunch of other projects at one time. So I think that's real positive. I want to personally thank Brian Hurst for acknowledging Robert for doing that. Robert's like me. Robert challenges the status quo. Robert's very passionate. He is very passionate about veteran affairs. He's been on the board before. He's been a board president. And so with Robert, I understand Robert and I love Robert and I know how passionate he is. But I know with some people, they get a little challenged by what he does. So Brian Hurst, I want to thank you, and I really hope that the board continues to acknowledge his work long after he's gone, because Robert does know a lot of people, and he has won every election he has ever been in, and I don't think he's ever lost, and I think that says a lot. So getting to the program, the meeting lasts about an hour and a half. I'd say on 1 to 10 for the first one. So this was their first deal that they had done. I gave them about a 6. I think there were some hiccups. I think that there were some discussions that might have gotten off point a little bit. But at the end of the day, it looks like the increased cost to us as a homeowner is about $20 per month to have the association buy the country club. I think that the board's going to need to do a whole lot better job improving the decrease in home values. They used a golf course down Chino Hills. I had suggested to them in a written document about 2 months ago that they really list out a whole bunch of golf courses in California that are similar to ours in master plan communities. So people really do have an idea of what can happen. I believe, Terry, that there's been about 1,400 golf courses closed around the country that have gone brown. And so I think if people understand that while let's say I didn't live on the golf course, okay, it's going to have an impact to my home value because the golf course and the lake are considered amenities to Spring Valley Lake. But more important, Spring Valley Lake is not only an amenity to Spring Valley Lake and its residents, it's the only private country club between Ontario and Las Vegas. And to me, it's a regional asset. So so the board's going to do a couple more of these open forums. They're very close to signing the purchase and sale agreement. They did acknowledge what the price is. The price is $2 million. So the price of the water they put on was about $5 million. You can agree to disagree. There's 977 acre feet of water. I think water right now is trading for between $4,500 and $5,000 an acre foot. So if you got to 1,000 acre feet at $5,000, that's $5 million. At the end of the day today, we can only use 55% of that through the ramp down. So the water is a great asset, but you really can't sell it, because if you sell it, you had to go out and get makeup water. So I think the board overall did a great job. At the end of the day, I think they have to have a ironclad written business plan that goes through, how this is going to work. I will say this, and it may not be popular. I am not in favor of, and I said this to Alfred Logan and to Brian Bickert and Brian Hurst and to Bill Scott, I'm not in favor of the general manager of the country club working underneath the general manager of the association. I don't care who the personalities are. I think that the country club is a standalone asset underneath the association. It should have a board of directors, not a golf committee. They talked about a 10-member golf committee. If you want to act like a private country club, you have to call it like a private country club. So I think that manager should work directly with the board, the country club board, and have a person there that deals directly with the board at the association. So it has nothing to do with Alfred Logan. It has nothing to do with anybody else. I personally hope that David Ruzzi stays there. I have a lot of respect for David. I've never had a disagreement with him. I think that he's been kind of caught. He moved up here. His wife moved up. He has two great kids. He's a real nice guy. I think that he got sold a bill of goods. And I've also told that to Phil Steitzko with Club Corp. I don't think that they ever told him the truth. They claimed they did, but it doesn't matter. So that's one thing that I really disagree with, and I could not. But they have to have a business plan that they can come to the residents and say, here it is. This is how it's going to operate. This is what the costs are going to be. We're going to put a fence around it on day one. We're going to go in and do all this work and get it done and be done, rather than saying, well, we're going to go do these improvements as a cash flow, because that will never work. And unless they're willing to commit to do all that work up front, I can't buy into it, and I don't think anybody else. The club has a lot of work that needs to be done. It's got great bones, as we would say in the construction business, but it needs a lot of work, and I think it's a great asset. So I really do hope that the board continues to move in a positive direction, and I think that Brad Lettner will be a great board member. I think that Brad looks at things from a business standpoint. He also looks at it because he's from the military. So I think he's going to bring a great added look at things. I think that he might challenge the status quo. Brad, I love you. We've always, the thing I've always loved about Brad is Brad will challenge the status quo whether you're a friend or not, and that's why I respect him. So so I think that there's some great things to come.
To further update SVL developments, Joseph W. Brady is asked, what's the QT on the MAC and the CSD?
Well, Terry, the county very smartly, and I think this came about even prior to Supervisor Cook coming on in after the election that, we won't go on into. So they put together, they took applications for the Municipal Advisory Counselor Committee, the MAC. And they picked 5 people, and they've got a chairman. And that chairman's Dennis Verhagen. So I think having that group is going to accelerate the communications, hopefully between the county and the association. I had a friend of mine call me the other night. He's in real estate, lives on in there, and he was very concerned about it. And I said to him, I think this is the best thing since sliced bread. And I suggested to Dennis in a document probably yesterday that if they're meeting once a month, hopefully they will, that our water bill comes out every 2 months. Why don't you then put in what you're doing every 2 months into that water bill, which makes you then have to get something done. Okay, if you have to report out, you then are forced to do something versus, oh, well, we had a meeting. Well, the homeowners don't care about your meeting. They care about, the streets got done. That was $12.5 million deal. And that was facilitated through that group. But, what are they doing with the drainage boxes? What are they going to do with the entryway monument? What are they going to do? Are they going to possibly, extend the sidewalk down Ridgecrest past Pebble Beach? I call that the sidewalk to nowhere. Could they possibly landscape that entire wall in that area so as people drive down Ridgecrest or Paiute, it gives a nicer feel? I mean, we are a master plan community, and there's a lot of competition. So I congratulate Dennis. He's got Graham Carr on there. He's got Bo Gurley. He's got Mary Stapp, and Bill Walters is on there. But they've got 5 really good people, and they picked Dennis as a chairman. I think they picked the right guy, and he's passionate, and so I congratulate all of them. And I know Steve Samaras over at CSA 64. Steve is a really good guy. He's got great employees. So I think this is a win-win. So out of the election, that some people didn't like and some people did like, I think came something really good. So at the end of the day, congrats.
The Bradco Companies present This Date in High Desert and Mojave River Valley Sports History. The Bradco Companies support the student athletes, teams, schools, and colleges and sports programs throughout our Mojave River Valley and High Desert. On this date, years past, Apple Valley tangles with AAE in the 2017 opening round of CIF. Then, 10-year-old Julie Bascom, interviewed in 2010. Round about the same time, shooting was underway in a gunplay way at nearby Pioneertown. 2014's running of the San Bernardino County Fair would lead off with its Destruction Derby and introduce the County Fair Junior Livestock Leaders High School Madness. It's madness. You can see it in their faces, from human pyramids to hula hoop races. Dancing gladly, mascot dancing madly. Tomorrow the muscles will be sore after the spirited tug-of-war. Unique factors in force, a tropical obstacle course. In this table manners matchup, food disappears fast in the furious finale. Now that's a mouthful. The event that's last. All in the spirit of energetic competition and bragging rights for the High School Madness Travel and Trophy. It's High School Madness, added to the hilariously entertaining activities at the San Bernardino County Fair. The County Fair Junior Livestock Leaders host the competition, stage the event, and get the program started, demonstrating the proper mechanics of the human pyramid. The competition begins, and the suspense mounts. The madness piles up. This is a test of coordination, stamina, endurance, and balance. Criteria for success in the traditional tug-of-war: teamwork and strength. We're only as strong as our weakest link. There's the hula hoop race. No need to explain. Who finishes first, more team points to claim. And for the one team member who's a real swinger, the tropical orange obstacle course race. Now, which team's got the ringer? Which dueling dancers bust the best moves? The cool cougar mascot. He's in the groove. Teams are comprised of 6 members, 3 gals and 3 guys, and 1 adult representative who is fast food wise. This grand finale is this tough to swallow, make food disappear amid all the holler. When points are all tallied and all's said and done, Granite Hills wins in the spirit of fun. High School Madness, competition for our teams. Your San Bernardino County Fair 2014. Guns of the West triggers a positive viewer reaction from those intrigued by the weapons of choice of the American West's colorful and glorious taming, and the stories and adventures of those who fired them. From the first fast-draw duel, Wild Bill Hickok, to the notorious James Gang, to a firearm used by a short-changed lady of the night. A cast call draws eager participants whose every semblance of the American pioneers of the mid-19th century must be historically accurate. Not just the weapons, but attire, jewelry, and accessories, and mannerisms. To this site, Southern California's Pioneertown in the Mojave Desert, the likes of Gold Dollar, Dynamite Dave, Miss Ruby, Tombstone Tommy, and James Butler Hickok himself, that are known as Wild Bill. Reenactors who've become walking encyclopedias of the very person or persons they portray. Upon the capable shoulders of director Tino Luciano falls the responsibility of managing the throng of characters, most with a reputation earned through disregard for rules and authority when in character. This day's scenes include the Springfield, Missouri showdown on Main Street between the 28-year-old Hickok and former Confederate adversary Davis Tutt Jr., fueled by Tutt's flaunting display of the watch he'd taken from Hickok in a poker game the night prior. Historians pronounce this the first quick-draw duel in history, July 21st, 1865. Meticulous attention to detail lends to the realism. The viewer senses, then feels the tension that explodes into the instantaneous, ultimate throwdown.
Ted! I told you not to be wearing that watch across square!
Sparse narration is required to understand the circumstantial verdict rendered by a lady of ill repute when her client attempts to sneak out without properly paying for services rendered. When authentic weapons of the day are used, the occasional hiccup must be expected and tolerated.
And action. And action. All right, got
But the finished product is flawless, a page of history Americana, opened, demonstrated, explained, and turned. Gun of the West.
She plays violin and bass and strums the banjo, makes the dobro cry, plays guitar and dobro mandolin. She plays them all quite well, we might add. And this girl is only 10. She's Julie Bascom, and the label Prodigy applies here. Strings attached, she'll play it well. Reading music or playing by ear.
When I was around 2, I actually started to play the mandolin because my mom plays the mandolin. And so I just tried to mess around with it. And then as I got older, I got more into music. I would play drums and stuff. And then actually when I was 3, I asked for the violin.
Homeschooled, Juliet, born the only child of Father John and Mother Lisa, a richly talented musical family. Juliet represents the 5th generation of said heritage. Her great-great-grandmother played in a band in the Roaring 20s in Mississippi. Juliet performs in the High Desert Drifters and bands labeled River Bottom Bluegrass, Old Time Pioneers, and the Bascom Ranch Band. Mostly the personnel is the same. The name depends on the style of music and venue at hand. Juliet Camille turns 11 in 2011's June.
The 4th-ranked Apple Valley Sun Devils fully capitalize on AAE defensive lapses to overtake the Knights and take a 9-1 opening round win in the CIF Division 5 playoffs. Apple Valley gets a superb performance from Tanner Fuller, who struck out 12 in going the distance. His approach was straightforward.
They were a good team, and it was tough to beat them.
The home team Knights draw first blood when leading hitter Ryan Penelber stays back on the curveball and drives it hard through the right side of the Sun Devils infield. Ben Morrison scores from second. Morrison had doubled off the fence in left field for AAE's first hit, team-high 19th run driven in on the season for Ryan Penelberg, who leads all hitters on the field this day. He sports a .571 batting average. Bases loaded, one out, top of the order, up for the Sun Devils. Elian Ortega's base hit to left drives in William Villarino, and the visitors have tied the score at 1. First of 2 base hits on the day for the Sun Devils leadoff hitter and center fielder. Logan Valencia drives in the go-ahead run with the base hit to left. Jacob Escobar scoring to make it 2-1 Apple Valley. By the time it is all said and done, only 2 of Apple Valley's 9 runs on the day will be of the earned run variety. Tanner Fuller completes his day's work, cutting down the final hitter he faces, having succeeded in shutting out the Knights after AAE's unearned run in the first. AAE's season ends with a record of 18-3. Apple Valley heads into round 2 of the CIF playoffs. Terry Kurtz here, throwing out an invitation for you to catch up with High Desert Sports activities. Your High Desert Sports Report, showing 3 times every day on Victor Valley TV. 7 and 11 every morning, 4 every afternoon.
What time is it, sports fans? It's time for your High Desert Sports Report.
Your half-hour High Desert Sports Report, the area's only video action highlights coverage of high school athletes, teams, and sports programs, Victor Valley College Rams, and Barstow College Vikings athletic events. We hope you'll join us right here on Victor Valley TV. Joseph W. Brady offers a $5,000 reward for arrest and conviction of whoever stole mail from his Victorville post office box.
But for those that have not heard this, our post office box has been broken into 4 times since June of last year, including February of this year. Okay, I'm not the only one that it wasn't necessarily targeted towards me, but we believe that twice of the times that it happened, the postmaster might have been out of town. So a couple of these, one of them they believe happened during broad daylight. So I'm going to sweeten the pie to figure this thing out. My wife and I, Deborah K. Brady, will offer a reward of $5,000. It's pretty simple. They got to be arrested, they've got to be convicted, and they've got to be given time. And it's got to be for my mail in my P.O. box. P.O. box easy to find. And you know what? I think for $5,000, you're going to see some people roll over on people. Because you know what? And not only did I get it, we apparently had a bunch of boxes about the same time in February broken into at Springvale Lake. So this is an ongoing problem. What I think, Terry, is despicable, okay, is that we only have 4 people in the Inland Empire. According to one of the postal inspectors I talked to back in August, we only have 4 postal people that are trying to catch the bad guys working in the entire Inland Empire.
Doesn't the Victorville post office have cameras?
Terry, they do, and they have some imagery. I'll just say this, that they're probably putting in cameras that will never be seen by anybody, and they might be in places that they would never even think about. Okay, so I encourage anybody that if you know who it is, Terry will put my cell number up there. Text me, because I'm not answering any numbers that I don't have in my phone, and my email. And if the person is arrested, convicted, and found to have taken our mail, and I know Sheriff John McMahon is trying desperately to be sure things like this don't happen to me and everybody else. There is absolutely no excuse for it. But I have a feeling that the next time these people come back, they might be in for a really big surprise. And you never know where it's going to be. But they've been pretty good about assuring me of, and we've talked about some ideas. I'm not going to get in the postal security business, but it's just sad. I mean, it's just sad. So.
Terry Kurtz On-Line was brought to you by Down Home Grill in Victorville on the corner of Bear Valley Road and Ridgecrest Road. Bid fast and last, sold on supporting high desert sports. Midway Home Solutions in Victorville. Deagle and Don always has discount prices on appliances, mattresses, home furnishings, and electronics. Valu Quality Truck Body. Family owned and operated since 1954. The Bradco Companies, our area's longest standing full service commercial brokerage firm. Ewanzak Law Firm, trial lawyers for serious problems. And by the Community Table Restaurant in the Holiday Inn in Victorville. The Holiday Inn, favored destination for travelers and visitors to the Victor Valley. Hope you can be with us next time on Terry Kurtz Online. Thanks for watching.